Abuja, some addresses instantly change how people see you. Before you even mention your job, before you mention your income, before people even know or understand the kind of person that you are. The moment they hear where you live, the perception is already formed. And is it, whether we like it or not, that perception influences opportunities, influences conversations, and even the level of respect people give you. So, today we want to talk to you about something many people think but rarely say out loud. Why do certain Abuja addresses automatically command respect? Why does, say, Asokoro, Maitama, Wusetu, Guzape, Katampe, or even Jabi create a different reaction from people? So have you ever told someone, oh, I live in Uye, or I live in Guzape, or I live in Asokoro, and then there's this expression, there's this shift in change from that person towards you? And is it actually about money, or is there something deeper behind it? Let's talk about that today.
Yes, so today this topic is very funny because it's something that people rarely they don't know about, but a lot of people who understands it, they use it very well. Okay, they use their location where they stay to oppress people, literally, whether consciously or not. Okay, so when it comes to real estate, location is not just about the money. It's about the people you meet in this place. It's about the social capital it gives you. And address is not just where you live in and you just sleep there. That's not just the idea. It's
Yeah.
about the status it gives you, the lifestyle, the access of the caliber of people you get to meet, the influence and the perceived success. Even if you've not made money, but you're living in that location, people literally see you, put you in a certain light in their head.
Yeah.
And that is what we are going to explain to you why people do that. So there are some people, two people who can live in a particular location. They can own a house in a similar place. For example, one person owns a house in Maitama. Let's use Maitama as an example. Another person owns a house in Lokogoma. Not shading Lokogoma, but just paint that picture. The same house, but they value the person in Maitama more than the person living in. Why? Why? Is it that it's not the same house? No, it's because of the location. So we are going to explain to you why this happens constantly in Abuja, and not just in Abuja, everywhere. People that live in Banana Island are rated in a certain light. Just think
Exactly.
about it. So what's that? All right, human beings naturally associate certain places with success. Okay, and the thing about it, when people say they live in, like we've said, Mitama, Sokoro, you get to see them in a certain light. You feel like, oh, this person is powerful. This person may rank very well in government, official. Even if the person is squatting with someone, it doesn't matter at this point. But it matters that this person is living in this particular location. All right. Now compare that with an unknown district. Okay, most people have heard about it. The house itself may be beautiful, right? These houses you build in those locations can be fine, all right, but it still doesn't matter. It doesn't equate or give you that experience people in the other place are. So sometimes people are not just paying only for the property, they are paying for what that location gives them. And that's what we are going to talk about today.
Exactly. Amazing. Now, Abuja has districts that have built their reputation over decades. So let's say areas like Meitama and Asokoro, for instance, have become symbols of established wealth and influence. Now, these are locations that have hosted ambassadors, ministers, business leaders, prominent families
Yeah.
for years, like for ages, right? And then you now have newer districts experiencing rapid
Growth.
development.
Yeah.
Places like Gusape, Katampe, Jai, Katape Extension, and um, part of Jai that have attracted a new generation of wealthy homeowners and investors.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is that every premium district starts as the next big thing before it eventually becomes prestigious. So the
Exactly.
people who understand this often buy before everyone else catches on. But they don't just buy, there are signs they look out for.
Yeah.
They look out for what is going on in that area. They look out for the population growth, they demand, they look out for development, they look out for everything that is happening in that area. They pay close attention and then they buy ahead of time.
Yeah.
So for areas to eventually become prominent or let's say prestigious, these areas there are signs to identify some of these areas. And people who understand this, like I said, usually would go before ahead of time and then you know lock in on those areas before every other person catches on.
Right. So the next thing we are going to talk about here is that what we know as social perception and class. Okay. I don't want to even dwell deeply again, like what I said when started talking. I'm going to talk about that the address you have influence, it brings influence to you. All right. It brings security. There's a social class of people you attract because of a place you live. All right. Somebody wants to do a business with you because of your house location or your office location. So you are invited in certain circles in life because of where you live. And that is sometimes it seems not fair, but it is reality. That is what we experience here. And sometimes who believes you who believes you can afford a particular opportunity isn't always right. It happens every day. So because of the places you live in, people think you can handle certain tasks. All right, you're in a community of people, they give you something because you live in a location. Like for me, it doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. Before now, I used to fight it and I fight it very well. But it is what it is, all right. So it helps us to understand locations early. The essence of this video is not just to highlight these locations that are already fully made in quotes, but also to give an opportunity of investing in locations that are coming up. Because I mean, there are sometimes that locations we know now as luxury, they started off as bush. So what made them stand out? What is making them trend and people want to live? Everybody wants to own something there. But because you can't afford it or people can't afford it, there are locations coming up, springing up that you can actually take advantage of now, so that eventually when it's literally developed, you are part of the owners of those locations. That's the essence of this live section.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Why do certain districts maintain their respect? So we'll just look into that a little, right? Now, when we talk about respect, we are referring to what we said earlier, how when you tell someone you live in a particular place, there's this, respect that they
They
just,
give you.
they just give you because of where you live. So many people just assume that prestige is about expensive houses, but it is not. It
Yeah.
is not always like that. It's usually protected by a combination of factors. And what are these factors? The first on the list is consistent infrastructure. Just think about
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Imagine you walk into a particular location and then you're seeing very fine, modern, architectural design houses in that area.
Yeah.
You're seeing good infrastructure, very appealing to you. It looks very beautiful. And then you also notice that there is strict planning standards. So people don't build haphazardly,
Exactly.
right? You see people build and then there's road, there's good access road to pass. There are drainages neatly done. And another thing is the quality of roads in these places are very, very different.
True.
Like, they're high standard, right? And then there's also strong security presence. And then there's controlled development. We mentioned that earlier. And also there is access to influential institutions. So these factors combined together make that particular location or that particular place very, very respected. So let's use Wuye for instance. When you come to a place like Wuye, aside the fact that the houses here are neatly built, they are very beautiful, appealing to the eyes, you realize that there's good road infrastructure.
Yeah.
Another thing you notice is that there's also we have churches here in Buye, and then we also have markets in Buye, and then we have gas stations. So these are just some of the, and other influential institutions are right here in Buye, right? So this is just an instance. So when these things remain constant over time in a particular location, the reputation of that location, or rather, let's use district as it is in Abuja, grows stronger day by day. So over time, you now stop, when you hear the name of that place, you stop associating it with bush. You associate it with good infrastructure.
Yeah.
You associate it with anything that makes it beautiful and highly respected.
Yeah.
So that is why some locations remain respected decade after decade.
Oh wow! So now you've gotten to this point in this video, and you have any question regarding locations you should invest in today, do not hesitate to reach us on the number shown on the description box, and you can ask further questions as we move towards rounding up this live section. All right. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the network influence, where what people also rarely talk about when it comes to this location is proximity. People like that, they sometimes go out and come back late in the night. They don't want a situation of insecurity, right? Because of the security around the location, you can go out anytime and come back freely, all right? You have neighbors who are of the same class as you are. They attend the same gym. You look for the same expensive exercises or sports like the polo and the golf courses. Those are the same people you also always attract. If you have to use a restaurant around there, you still attract and see the same people. These are social capital. It transcends to money, because eventually you can do businesses with these people. Eventually your children can marry themselves because it's the same environment. So it's beyond just that location. All right. You visit, you attend the same churches, the same mosques, as the case may be. Opportunities come up and they're thinking of who to bring in on board, and they remember you because you do literally everything with them. So real estate has been connected to access. Like I said, people don't just buy land and location again. They buy based on what that location is going to give them. Access to people, access to influence. All right. Sometimes you hear in Abuja that if you want to get big deals, come out in the night. That is what Abuja is known for, right? You get to hear things, access to information, right, and access to other major advantages. This is what offers you.
And another premium, another reason why these premium addresses command respect is exclusivity, and exclusivity goes hand in hand with security.
Yeah.
So people value peace of mind. This is not something to argue about.
True.
Everybody, the rich, the poor, whatever level it is you are in life, everyone values their peace of mind.
Yeah.
It is so important. So families want environments where they feel protected, right? And that is where we talk about security. And again, they don't just want environments where they associate with anybody. They want environments where there's controlled access.
Yeah.
No, it's not just everyone who comes around that will have access to them, right?
Easily.
So businesses want locations where clients can feel comfortable visiting, and this is very, very true. Like, I know of someone who had their office located in a particular area here in Abuja, somewhere, I think that keep you somewhere inside. But the person thought about it and was like, if I really want to dominate Abuja when it comes to my business, if I want to grow, if I want to be successful, I can't have my office located in this place.
Without
And guess what? The person made a move and moved that office to Uye. Now you cannot compare these two locations when it comes to businesses, right? So people don't just want to get that feeling that, oh, my office is somewhere. They also consider the clients that they are servicing.
True.
So they want their clients to feel highly comfortable and respected when visiting their offices. Now, investors, on the other hand, also want areas that preserve value. So this is when it comes to people who, want to invest, maybe real estate or whatever it is. You need a place that will preserve the value of your investment. investment. So you don't just throw money around. And again, security is not a luxury feature.
Mm.
It is a value driver, and the market rewards it consistently. Over and over again, it rewards it.
The last thing we are going to talk about, or the last thing I'm going to talk about before we round up this video, is emotional attachment. And this constantly happens when you've realized that a location is sweet and it's unbeatably great. You don't want to leave that location, all right? Even if you leave that house, you move to the same location because of what that location has offered you, all right? So people don't just buy from location for practical reasons. They buy because they buy because of how that location make them feel. That is what I call emotional attachment. All right. So people don't at some point they've grown in that location and they fall in love with the location. They like what the location is offering them. Some people grew up admiring certain neighborhoods. Others associate those areas with achievements, which we've literally talked about in this live section. Because of where you are living, people associate you to a great person. People associate you that you've achieved so much just because of where you live in or where you stay.
Sometimes you even see that you have
Sense.
You just assume
Exactly. They always bring you up on board.
Yes.
They have business idea, they bring you just because of where you live. All right. For some, owning property that becomes a personal milestone, and emotions will constantly play a big role. What happens is that eventually you start looking for rental income around there or shortlet business around there. All right. And you always attract people who will pay for it. Yes, I believe that when it comes to these locations, they seem very expensive. But because you are there, you see the money around there, you want to own a business around there. So that is what emotions constantly give to people who live in this location. Some addresses speak before the owner even says a word. This is very deep. If you can think on it a little bit, right? Some addresses are very like sometimes when I drive through Meitama, like how did they get this excellence when it comes to the flowers, the roads, the buildings? Did they in any way call all these people together and be like, okay, let's move to this location? That is how much a location can give you, right? The reality in this case is that location creates and carries a message for everyone, and not because of the person's words. Actually, that's why I said that someone that may not have sense can live there and they assume that the person has sense. All right. So yes, it's because of the address. And I will say, to end my point, because people, these things, like I said, it may seem unfair, but this is what the society is offering us. And the earlier you wake up to that realization that people associate you based on where you stay, where you live, offices, and all that, then you have to work towards achieving that. And we also have opportunities coming up. If you've missed locations that are very expensive, there are some areas that are still coming up that will still give you that effect. So it's earlier that it's better that you start up investing in those locations earlier so that you can also enjoy these things that location offers you.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. And would like to leave you with a few words. So anyone who wants to invest or who is an investor understand something very important. And now this is to everyone. You might not be an investor now, but you are a potential investor,
Investor, true.
right? So they don't just buy land, they buy the future perception. And that
Exactly.
is one thing we explained earlier. The way people perceive you because of where you live. So a lot of people buy that future perception, they buy the future demand, they buy the future prestige, and often they do it before the rest of the market recognizes this very opportunity. So we have a question for you. Do you think that address and location affect how society treat people? What do you think? Have you ever seen someone receive different treatment simply because of where they lived? If you've seen that, just drop your thoughts in the comments. Would really like to hear your perspective on this. Now, if you followed us from the very beginning to this moment, kindly drop questions in the comment sections. And if you've got value so far, we'd also like to know that. There's a number in the description. Kindly reach out to us on that number for your questions, your suggestions, and we will be able to guide you through every one of them. And kindly like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And till we come your way again, have an amazing, amazing, fantastic day. Bye.